Hi, my name is Tyler Devlin. This is my resubmission for assignment 4. I'm going to start off by showing the functionality of the page. First, if you choose incorrect dates for any reason, it'll show in the error field that you need to check your dates, and you can check in the network panel and see that no request is made. If you do put in the correct dates, we're going to do 04 to 08, then you see that a connection was made. Here in the output, it shows the list that it gets from one of the files given to us in the project. If I go down, the parts that I added were body, sort, and sort descending. So in body, if you type in something that shows up in the body tag of the results, such as smartphone, then only one result shows up because it has smartphone in the body. If you choose to sort by the number of favorites, then the number of favorites becomes the sorted factor, and you can also change that to sort descending to make it descend in reverse, and that's what had to be added for the functionality. So here in code, much of this was given. I'll explain the parts that I added. In the head, I just changed the CSS and the JavaScript files. Down in body, the start date, end date, title, favorites, and limit were already given. Here in body, I just used the template from like the title and the end date because those are fill-ins instead of like drop-down menus. So it's a body with type text, ID body, name body, placeholder. Then in for sort, these are the values that were on the Twitter API documentation page. 0, date, title, and favorites. For no sort, date, title, and favorites. And then sort descending, these were also in the Twitter documentation for blank yes and no, for yes and no. Here in the JavaScript, here's where it grabs all the data from the forms. Here's my regular expression to check the date. Checks for any date that's in the 2000s pretty much, and it also accepts just a 1 for the month or the day, or a 0, 1 for the month and the day. Here in error, it is blank, and if it doesn't match the regular expression, then it adds some text to the error code, and if it detects if there is an error, then it returns false, stopping the code so the AJAX request doesn't get made. There's the AJAX indicator model that shows up, the loading spinning wheel. And then here it sends all the information from the form to the proxy file. And I decided to go with the extra credit option for this one. Instead of returning the HTML, I returned JSON, which I have to parse out because it came back as just text and not an object. And then if it was just HTML, then I would append just the server response, and that would come out on the output page. But instead, I have to output my own HTML code, which I make here by starting with an unordered list. And I go through each object, and I grab the date, title, body, and favorites, and make a list items for each one. And then I append that to the output. Here the errors and the complete code were given. Here's the proxy file. Here it gets all the information from the AJAX code, and it builds a URL with this part here, getpost.json.php, and then we added start date, end date, and then build the code from there using the information from the AJAX call. And then the response is sent back to the JavaScript, where it then builds the list in HTML. Here is where it checks the results for the get post. This is where it's grabbing the information from the get posts file. This was all given to us, and down here is the information that it's all grabbing, and then below that is where it checks the limitations, such as the limits or the body title or the favorite sorting. And then here's just the CSS errors. I just made it red, or I believe the errors in the output came with it. Then I made the font style italic as the Sakai site said, and I changed the favorites to make them red background with white text. Pretty simple CSS here. And that's the end of my assignment 4.